What if everything you think you know about love is actually just projection, fantasy, and psychological need disguised as genuine connection? And what if Carl Jung's revolutionary insights into the human psyche could help you distinguish between the intoxicating illusion of romantic obsession and the profound reality of authentic love that transforms both partners into their highest selves? If you want to discover the 7 unmistakable signs that Jung identified as indicators of true love versus mere psychological projection, emotional dependency, or unconscious attempts to heal childhood wounds through another person, you absolutely must watch this entire video, because understanding these distinctions could save you from years of painful relationships and guide you toward the kind of deep, authentic connection that Jung believed was essential for psychological wholeness and spiritual growth. So make sure to subscribe right now and hit that notification bell, because the insights I share on this channel about relationships, psychology, and human development have helped thousands of people transform their love lives and discover what it really means to connect with another soul at the deepest possible level. Carl Gustav Jung, the pioneering Swiss psychiatrist who gave us concepts like the collective unconscious, psychological archetypes, and the process of individuation, spent decades studying the psychology of relationships and discovered that most of what people call love is actually a complex web of projections, unconscious expectations, and attempts to complete themselves through another person, rather than the mature, conscious choice to share your complete self with someone who sees and accepts you exactly as you are. Through his extensive clinical work with couples, his analysis of mythological and religious symbols related to love and marriage, his study of alchemical texts that use romantic imagery to describe spiritual transformation, and his own personal journey through relationships and self-discovery, Jung identified 7 crucial signs that distinguish authentic love from the various psychological substitutes that masquerade as genuine connection, but ultimately leave both partners feeling unfulfilled, misunderstood, and emotionally depleted. The first sign of true love, according to Jung, is what he called conscious recognition rather than unconscious projection, meaning that you see your partner clearly as they actually are, with their unique personality, strengths, weaknesses, dreams, and fears, rather than seeing them as you wish they were or need them to be to fulfill some unconscious psychological function in your life. Because Jung observed that most people fall in love with their own projections, their anima or animus, the unconscious feminine or masculine aspects of their personality that they haven't fully integrated, and they unconsciously expect their partner to embody and express these qualities for them, rather than developing these aspects within themselves. This conscious recognition means you're attracted to your partner not because they complete you or fix something broken within you, but because you appreciate their authentic essence and want to support their individual growth and self-expression, even when that growth takes them in directions you didn't expect or wouldn't personally choose. Because true love celebrates the other person's uniqueness rather than trying to mold them into your ideal image of the perfect partner. The second sign is what Jung termed mutual individuation support, where both partners actively encourage and support each other's psychological development and journey toward becoming their authentic selves, rather than unconsciously sabotaging or resisting changes that might threaten the familiar dynamics of the relationship. Because Jung understood that healthy relationships require 2 psychologically mature individuals who are committed to their own growth and evolution, not 2 incomplete halves desperately trying to merge into one dysfunctional whole. This mutual individuation support means that your partner celebrates your successes, supports your dreams, encourages you to face your shadows and integrate rejected aspects of yourself, and doesn't feel threatened when you become more confident, creative, or independent, because they understand that your individual growth enhances rather than threatens the relationship. And they trust that 2 whole people choosing to be together create something far more beautiful and sustainable than 2 needy people clinging to each other out of fear of abandonment or psychological incompleteness. The third sign manifests as what Jung termed shadow integration within the relationship, where both partners are willing to acknowledge, own, and work on their psychological shadows, the rejected, denied, or unconscious aspects of their personality that they typically project onto others or act out in destructive ways,
And instead of blaming each other for relationship problems or expecting the other person to change while remaining unconscious of their own contributions to conflicts and misunderstandings, both partners take responsibility for their own emotional reactions, triggered responses, and unconscious patterns that interfere with genuine intimacy and connection. This shadow work within relationships means you're willing to examine how your childhood wounds, family patterns, cultural conditioning, and unconscious beliefs about love and relationships influence your behavior toward your partner, and you're committed to healing and transforming these patterns rather than unconsciously repeating them or expecting your partner to accommodate your unconscious needs and dysfunctional coping mechanisms, because Jung believed that relationships serve as mirrors that reveal our unconscious material. And true love provides a safe container for both partners to face and heal their psychological wounds together. The fourth sign is characterized by what Jung described as differentiated unity, where you maintain your individual identity, interests, friendships, and personal goals while also creating a deep bond with your partner. Rather than losing yourself in the relationship or demanding that your partner sacrifice their individuality to prove their love and commitment to you, because Jung observed that healthy relationships require a delicate balance between intimacy and autonomy, connection and independence, sharing and maintaining appropriate boundaries that protect each person's psychological integrity and personal space. This differentiated unity means you don't need to agree on everything, share all the same interests, or think identical thoughts to feel deeply connected, because your love is based on acceptance and appreciation of your differences rather than an unconscious need to find someone who mirrors your own personality, values, and preferences, and you understand that maintaining your individual identity actually strengthens your capacity for genuine intimacy because you have more of yourself to offer and share with your partner. The fifth sign reveals itself through what Jung called transcendent communication, where you're able to discuss difficult topics, navigate conflicts, and share vulnerable feelings without falling into the typical relationship patterns of blame, defensiveness, manipulation, or emotional withdrawal, because both partners have developed enough psychological maturity and self-awareness to communicate from their authentic selves rather than from their wounded inner children, defensive ego structures, or unconscious attempts to control or change each other. This transcendent communication means you can express your needs, boundaries, and concerns honestly and directly without attacking your partner's character or threatening to leave the relationship every time you face a challenge, and you can listen to your partner's feedback, complaints, and requests without immediately becoming defensive, making excuses, or turning the conversation into an argument about who's right and who's wrong, because you both understand that conflicts are opportunities for deeper understanding and growth rather than battles to be won or lost. The sixth and final sign manifests as what Jung termed sacred sexuality, where physical intimacy becomes an expression of psychological and spiritual connection rather than just biological satisfaction, emotional neediness, or unconscious attempts to merge with another person to escape the existential loneliness of individual existence. Because Jung believed that sexuality at its highest level serves as a bridge between the conscious and unconscious minds, a form of sacred communication that transcends verbal language and allows two people to share their deepest essence in a way that honors both their humanity and their divine nature. This sacred sexuality means your physical relationship grows deeper and more satisfying over time because it's rooted in genuine love, trust, and acceptance rather than performance, possession, or the need to prove your attractiveness or sexual adequacy. And both partners feel free to express their desires, explore their fantasies, and communicate their preferences without shame, judgment, or fear of rejection, because the physical intimacy serves as an extension of the emotional and spiritual intimacy you've created together. The seventh and most profound sign of true love, according to Jung, is what he called the transcendent function in relationships, where your love becomes a catalyst for both partners to access higher levels of consciousness, creativity, and spiritual awareness than either could achieve alone. Because true love connects you not just to each other, but to something greater than yourselves, whether you call it God, the universe, the collective unconscious, or simply the mysterious force that creates meaning, beauty, and connection in human experience. This transcendent function means your relationship becomes a spiritual practice that awakens your compassion, expands your capacity for joy and gratitude, challenges you to become more loving and forgiving, and inspires you to contribute something meaningful to the world, rather than just consuming experiences and accumulating possessions for your own pleasure and security. Because Jung understood that authentic love naturally leads to service, creativity, and a desire to participate in the ongoing evolution of human consciousness and culture. What makes these 7 signs so powerful and reliable as indicators of true love is that they're based on Jung's understanding that healthy relationships require 2 psychologically mature individuals who have done enough inner work to love from wholeness rather than neediness, from consciousness rather than unconscious compulsion, and from choice rather than desperate attachment or fear of being alone. Because when you can love someone without needing them to complete you, validate you, or heal your childhood hurts, you're free to appreciate them for who they actually are and support their individual journey while sharing your own authentic self without fear of rejection or abandonment.
Jung also discovered that people who experience true love often report feeling more connected, not just to their partner, but to life itself, as if their individual love affair becomes a gateway into universal love, compassion, and understanding that extends to all beings, because authentic love breaks down the artificial barriers between self and other, revealing the interconnectedness that Jung believed was the fundamental reality underlying all existence. The beauty of recognizing these 7 signs is that you can begin to distinguish between the intoxicating but ultimately unsatisfying experience of romantic projection and the deeply fulfilling reality of conscious love that supports both partners in becoming their highest selves while creating a relationship that serves as a source of strength, inspiration, and growth for both individuals and everyone whose lives they touch. Jung observed that couples who embody these 7 signs often become beacons of hope and possibility for others who are struggling in their own relationships or searching for authentic connection, because their love demonstrates what becomes possible when 2 people commit to consciousness, growth, and service, rather than just personal happiness and emotional satisfaction. If you're currently in a relationship, you can use these 7 signs as a guide for deepening your connection and moving beyond unconscious patterns that limit your capacity for intimacy. While if you're single, understanding these signs can help you recognize authentic love when you encounter it and avoid getting trapped in relationships that feel intense but lack the foundation of mutual respect, conscious communication, and shared commitment to growth that characterizes true love. Remember that developing the capacity for true love is itself a form of spiritual practice that requires ongoing commitment to self-awareness, emotional healing, and psychological development, because as Jung emphasized throughout his work, we can only love others to the degree that we have learned to love and accept ourselves, including our shadows, our wounds, and our imperfections. And this self-love isn't narcissistic self-absorption, but rather the foundation of psychological health that allows us to offer our authentic selves to another person without expecting them to complete us or heal our deepest hurts. The most transformative aspect of Jung's understanding of true love is his insight that authentic relationships serve as laboratories for psychological and spiritual development, where we learn to transcend the ego's demands for security, control, and validation, and instead practice the kind of unconditional love that Jung believed was humanity's highest potential and greatest hope for creating a more conscious, compassionate, and connected world where individual fulfillment and collective well-being support and enhance each other rather than competing for limited resources and attention.